Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypherbox, and I just want to do a quick prediction video for this Saturday's action. Errol Spence Jr. versus Lamont Peterson at welterweight for Spence's IBF belt. Peterson with a record of 35 wins, 17 KOs, 3 losses, 1 by KO and 1 draw. And Spence Jr. with 22 wins, 19 KOs, no losses, no draws. They both have a reach of 72 inches. Peterson's, in terms of height, he's 5'9", and Spence just has a little bit taller with 5'9.5 inches. Now, in my previous video where I, broke down the welterweight division, I said this was a good fight. Peterson's a durable opponent. He's a tough guy. He's got a lot of experience, and it would be a good test for Errol Spence Jr. Now, when it comes to Peterson, when it comes to this fight, I think it's all about which Lamont Peterson we're going to see. Are we going to see a Peterson like we did against Danny Garcia, especially in the early parts of the fight, where he's boxing, moving, using the ring, using a lot of lateral movement, getting in and out, getting his opponents to commit and miss, and then come back with counter punches, being very elusive and evasive? Or are we going to see a Peterson like we did against, Felix Diaz, where he kind of planted his feet and tried to walk his opponent down, very flat-footed, and trying to just trap his opponent on the ropes in the corners and unleash bombs on him? That's the question you really got to answer here: is which Lamont Peterson are we going to see? In my opinion, personally, I think we need to see the first one. I don't think it'd be don't get me wrong, Lamont Peterson, he does hit hard, he does have power in his punch, but I just think Errol Spence is that kind of fighter who has that knockout power, and there's a little bit of a difference there. You can have power in your punch and you can hurt your opponents, but doesn't necessarily mean you have that one punch knockout power, and I think Errol Spence Jr. has that. So I think with Peterson, I think he needs to box and use the ring, use his ring intelligence, keep Errol Spence at a distance. Don't let him come inside, don't let him close the gap, continually moving, against Errol Spence, not giving him a sitting target, stay off the ropes, stay out the corners, and, get Spence to commit, and then try and, get Spence to miss when he commits, and then come back with cute counters. Don't go in. I don't think Lamont Peterson should go in there trying to go toe-to-toe like he did with Felix Diaz, trying to go, toe-to-toe, walking Errol Spence down, or walking into Errol Spence and standing in front of him, being a stationary target. I think that would be a bad idea, because, Errol Spence, man, he's a hard hitter, a power puncher, and if you give him that opportunity to be a sitting target for him, he's gonna unleash bombs on you, and we know that. So basically, in short, for Lamont Peterson, he needs to use plenty of movement, definitely, he needs to get Errol Spence to overextend himself, to overcommit himself, and then come back with cute counters. Definitely create a lot of angles, a lot of movement. Don't stand still and go toe to toe. I would strongly advise against that when it comes to Peterson, if he wants to stand a chance of winning this fight, in my opinion. As for Spence Jr., well, Spence, when you look at Spence, I've always rewatched his fights against Algieri and Bundu, and the one thing I noticed is that against Bundu, he used his jab a lot more than he did against Chris Algieri. He uses his jab as more of a range finder. I don't think it's particularly his best tool, because against Bundu, when he was throwing those, when he was doubling up the jab and tripling up the jab, sometimes he was missing a lot of those. But for Spence, it's not a tool to hurt his opponent or try and use it as a power punch. Some fighters out there do use their jab as a hard power punch. It's not the case with Errol Spence. Errol Spence uses that to measure distance and to create opportunities where he can then start unleashing those hooks of his. He is a hooker. He loves throwing that right, that left hook combinations to the body, to the head. I mean, let's face it, Errol Spence Jr. is a hooker. You could tell he loves using the hooks, the left hook, the right hook combinations. He does throw straight rights, 1-2s and stuff like that, but you could tell he likes to get in, sometimes in close, and throw those hooks to the body. Sometimes, he'll throw the jab out there as a distraction and throw that hook from range, or follow up with a 1-2 with a straight right. And then sometimes he'll throw that jab out there quickly as a distraction in the face of his opponent, and then step in really quickly and then unleash, you know, left, right hooks, body, head, you know what I mean? So he'll mix it up nicely like that. You know, against Peterson, he's going to need to cut off the ring, stop Peterson from moving, you know, all that lateral movement that we know Peterson can do, because if Peterson does fight that way and he decides to come along and box, he's going to want to slow Peterson down. You know, he wants to break him down systematically. And the only way he's going to do that is by cutting off the ring, trapping him in the corners, trapping him on the ropes, and then unleashing those, you know, those hard punches. He's a power puncher in Errol Spence, and unleashing those bombs, you know, and those combinations when he does get Peterson trapped on the ropes or in the corners. I definitely don't think it'll be wise for him to kind of allow Peterson that room to move around and box, because Peterson, like I said, he can get in and out. He can be quite elusive when he wants to be. One criticism I have of Errol Spence Jr. is I think he lacks a lot. He lacks head movement. He has poor head movement. He doesn't move his head enough. And you saw it against Kell Brook. You won't see it in his other fights as much. You know, maybe a little bit against Bundu, I think I remember. But against Kell Brook, it showed a lot, because Kell Brook had, in the early part of the fight, the first 5 rounds, I think I scored 4 rounds to Kell Brook. Obviously, Spence, after that point, took over and won the fight. We know that. But my point is that Kell Brook had a lot of success, you know, putting combinations and landing shots, headshots to Errol Spence Jr. And he seemed to struggle with it at times. And I think, you know, when you're going up against more experienced, more seasoned fighters like Peterson, you know what, that's something you need to work on. You don't want to give him a target, you know, because like I said, Peterson can be elusive when he wants to be, you know, get in and out. And the last thing you want to do is have poor head movement and give Peterson an easy target, you know. So I definitely think for this fight, he also needs to, you know, show better head movement. So who am I going for this fight? Do you know what? It's really hard for me not to go for Errol Spence Jr. I think Errol Spence Jr. Look, I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think it will probably be a late stoppage for Errol Spence Jr. Somewhere maybe 8, 9, 10 beyond, you know, the championship rounds. Peterson is a durable opponent. You've got to give him his respect, and he's experienced, he's seasoned. He's got enough experience to hang with Spence for, you know, a lot of the rounds in the fight. But I think eventually, you know, like I just, you know, described to you, I think that's exactly what will happen. And Errol Spence will close off the ring, apply pressure, and, you know, he'll start working that body, working that head, you know, and eventually getting the stoppage. That's what I think. I think it'll be a late stoppage for Errol Spence Jr. I think Lamont Peterson will probably put up a good fight, but in the end, you know, Spence will just be too much for him. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good fight. Hope you guys enjoy it. As always, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is Scythebox reminding you to keep it real.